While the XMT versus CB clan war has already been won by XMT, I'm not going to show you the rest of the games, but there are maybe one or two more that I wanted to show you because they were notably close, good games. Today is just such a game. We've got Cathay versus Norska, super interesting matchup. Cathay rocking the box formation here. They're protecting some ranged units, of course. Grand Cannon plus 2 Iron Hails. We've got a Giga Chad Lord Magistrate on foot here with the melee and ranged targetable buffs. Of course, he's got his passive as well. Alchemist as the caster. Just rocking Final Transmutation with some buffs as well. And then, yeah, 1 Jade Lancer for a little bit of mass up in the sky. 1 Elite with the Righteous Lances of Wei Jin. And an Astromancer on a Moonbird. Very, very cool stuff. Moonbirds are decent, potentially. Let's see how they can do here. And, of course, Lord of Heavens, not bad as well. We've got 1 additional Moonbird with its Bound Vortex. See how that AoE damage can compare and how they'll face against Chimeras. We've got double Chimera up in the sky for Norska, or actually Warriors of Chaos, sorry. I do get confused sometimes, very similar factions, but we've got a Tzeentch Metal Sorcerer, which means it must be Warriors of Chaos. Looks like some Marauders of Khorne here, some Chaos Warriors, great weapons as well. So nice wide line, very interesting build for sure, almost like a Warhammer 2. You used to see these great weapon warriors as the backbone of Chaos Warrior armies very consistently, then mixed with the Warhammer 3 elements with the Chimeras. Very, very cool stuff. And of course, Tzeentch Lord. See what magic he's rocking. Looks like Lore of Metal as well. Final Transmutation, Searing Doom. And there is a Dread Maw. He's going to surface immediately into the cannons. And the Iron Hails are on Dread Maw defense duty. You can see this unit's going to turn and fire. And at this close range, they'll do some pretty good damage to a big target like the Dreadmaw. So it's going to take quite a bit of burst. It does blow up 2 of the cannon unit models there, so get some pretty good value first, but then is immediately going to burrow underneath. Meanwhile, the double Moonbird threatening this Chaos Sorcerer of Tzeentch as the Chimeras pursue. Well, we get a big all-in engagement here. We're going to see Curse the Midnight Wind, it looks like, on Norska maybe. Yep. Debuffing their melee attack and armor pretty significantly. That extra spell mastery from the elemental winds here is helping out in that instance. And the engagement is kind of a wash. Ends up, well, definitely more value damage on the Chimeras, but the Righteous Lances still get some damage on them in the meantime. But they're going to go for a quick all-in charge here just to break some isolated Khorne Marauders with the support of those Jade Lancers. All quick charge and pull back immediately. We've got the Chaos Warriors moving into the front line. They've got a little bit more quality and armor-piercing damage to be able to contend against stuff like Jade Warriors, although I still think with the War Drum, the Jades would definitely be able to hang no problem, even with just some juiced-up Harmony and the buffs from the Magistrate. They might be able to hold here. We'll have to wait and see. But the Dreadmaw also, unfortunately, being in Tactical Reserve Underground is not really contributing right now. Could definitely be running some disruption. Looks like we get the summon from the Tzeentch Lord. He uses that Staff of Change. What is it? Sword of Change? Something like that. But anyway, spawns some spawn right in the center of the formation. They're going to run through and get on those Iron Hail Gunners. We got 2v1 as well on the Astromancer Moonbird with the 2 Chimeras. Having taken some pretty decent damage. A little Searing Doom action as well. But Frontline is holding pretty decently. Jade Warriors in a nice defensive situation. Even the Peasant Long Spears have enough melee defense to just hold out for the time being. So let's see if the Cathay damage dealers can do their stuff in the meantime. Another Curse the Midnight Wind, and the Moonbirds are now 2v2 on the Chimeras, so much more of an even engagement. Marauder Horsemen in support, though, are throwing their javelins there, but ooh, they are lined up quite nicely in a blob for the 1 remaining cannon model to try and get some more value here. But Chaos Spawn, charged by the Righteous Lances, supporting these Khorne Marauders. They're going to trade pretty decently here. Of course, they are not necessarily 100% free. You still have to pay a little bit for the ability on the Khorne Sorcerer. Yeah, Sword of Change. Just a one-time use. It's not too expensive of an item, but nice to get that extra mass. Able to break some of these long spears. And yeah, the Chaos Warriors running in. They're going to get shot in the back as they rear charge, but You do have the Inspired Assault buffing the melee attack here of these Jade Warriors. And you can see they've basically just been trading against Chaos Great Weapons, which is very cost-effective for the Jade Halberds, of course. Chaos Warriors being a decent bit more expensive. What are they, 850 versus 750, I believe, for the Halberds? Anyway, pretty comparable infantry, but the fact that they're anti-large as well, trading against a more generalist AP unit, just really goes to show the strength of Cathay melee infantry when they're properly buffed up. A little bit of inspiring marksmanship on this Iron Hail to get them to dump some more ammo quickly. They have to move from that Searing Doom, though, as the Moonbird's going to come down and drop more AoEs on the Warriors. I haven't really seen the Manticores make great use of their breath attacks yet. They've been getting pressured by ranged units pretty consistently. Haven't been able to line them up. Yeah, still all 3 breath attacks here and here. Definitely would have been nice to get those early on, maybe on the sides of those Jade Warriors. Help those Chaos Warriors trade favorably rather than just evenly, basically. Yeah, but the Chaos Warriors getting ground down. Dreadmaw does resurface, trying to take out the remaining Grand Cannon, but at this point, probably is better off to just go after... Oh yeah, it looks like he pops over to those Iron Hails right as I'm saying that. And we'll see. The Dreadmaw might be needed for single entity engagements late game, but a big overcast Searing Doom from, looks like, the Tzeentch Sorcerer here. Yeah, it's going to do some really nice damage to the Righteous Lances. That being said, though, I think probably saving for Final Transmutations might be a little bit more efficient at this point. Still got both these Moonbirds operational with a pretty decent amount of HP, and if you could get, like, the Magistrate here on foot all together in one big AoE blast. Final Transmutation, yep, looks like it's dropping actually from the Alchemist. That's going to hit then Manticore, and the Dreadmaw being underground I don't think gets hit by it, which is a nice little defense mechanism there. But yeah, the Dreadmaw's absolutely, or the Chimera rather, absolutely going down. Another Searing Doom here. Yeah, it's gonna do some nice anti-infantry damage for sure, but ultimately just on Peasant Long Spears. And Cathay, it's gonna be pretty close. Yeah, Javelins throwing in at the Moonbirds. They themselves are getting low enough that they're kind of in the danger zone. Still got the Alchemist and the Lord Magistrate, but they don't really have amazing combat stats. They are single entities at the end of the day, though, so like on a 2v1, they might be able to beat this Dreadmaw. But they do still have some Iron Hails supporting. And the Peasant Long Spears also as well. Move in and get some damage. It is technically a conquest game, and actually the Warriors of Chaos have been able to control that point for most of this. They do have a pretty good amount of victory tickets. Cathay is then going to notice that and move some troops over to secure the objective. Kind of just leave the Dreadmaw sitting here underground. Marauder Horsemen have an opportunity to potentially chase some routing units away here, but gotta be too careful not to stray in range, or maybe just run down those Iron Hails. Might be too risky with how low of HP they have. They just get blasted on a volley there anyway. But yeah, Moonbirds dropping some AoE heat all over those Chaos Warriors should be enough to break them. It is technically heat. Yeah, it's blue fire. Very, very cool. Like moon fire, basically. Yeah, moon flare, literally. They get exploded by that, and Chaos Sorcerer gets his shield exploded by the Iron Hails. Actually not the best use of ammunition. If the Tzeentch player could consistently refill his barrier, the Chaos player here could refill his barrier and run in and out and waste the ammo of these Iron Hails, maybe even charge in. They're low enough you could maybe break them very quickly, but nice Final Transmutation here from the Chaos player. Forces the Astromancer and the Moonbird to split. Would be maybe an opportunity to countercharge this Moonbird on the ground right here, but it might be just enough to break the Astromancer. Did not hit the Righteous Lances there either, but, you know, decent cast nonetheless. Get some pretty good damage in. Yeah, the Righteous Lances, they're going to eat some Javelins. That's probably the end of them. Dreadmaw moving over to try and help secure the objective here. Maybe. Righteous Lance's leadership actually manages to hold out. Moonbird comes in to support, and they get a quick tear out on those Marauder Horsemen. Eats more Javelins for their troubles. Tzeentch Sorcerer is going to swing his magic sword and help break these Righteous Lances. Let's see. Other Marauder Horseman's going to go after the Moonbird there, try and maybe break him. And it looks like the Dreadmaw moving up. Yeah, here we go. Tzeentch Sorcerer just eats some real damage, but most of the damage from the Iron Hails goes into the shield, which allows him to charge in somewhat safely, occupy them in melee, bring up a supporting unit, and let's see, maybe they'll get a volley on those Great Weapon Warriors. It looks like the Astromancer is certainly lurking. Maybe want to go for a quick tear route, but a countercharge from the Chaos Sorcerer Lord once he gets to the ground would be pretty devastating. Let's see how it plays out. Righteous Lance is going to charge their last 3 unit models in heroically to try and assist. And it does look like they were able to get a break on those Chaos Warriors, but, yep, there the Astromancer gets broken and probably finished by the Tzeentch Lord here. Got the Dreadmaw resurfacing in the meantime, breaking up the Jade Warriors, able to terror out them away, so Norska definitely not going quietly into that good night. Yeah, Righteous Lances get finished off there. These Marauder Horsemen could follow up and chase off those Iron Hails, who actually just rallied. A little bit unfortunate. Late game volleys from them could be pretty devastating. But meanwhile, the Dreadmaw, as foretold, is 2v1 versus the Magistrate and the Alchemist. Looks like the Sorcerer Lord's going to charge on over to try and assist, but it's a trap! Absolutely devastating late game. Final Transmutation going to absolutely break the back of this Chaos army, as upgraded Final Transmutation should be enough. Very unfortunate. It actually hits both of the single entities remaining here for Chaos for most of its uptime, and Loss of Leadership starts to hit, and it looks like the Sorcerer Lord is likely to rout here. Moonbird comes in, yep, and that's going to be GG. Army losses kicks in, so super close game. Norska, nice attempt at a comeback there, almost had it at the end of the day, and I do think had he been a little bit more aggressive with the Dreadmaw throughout, and then get a couple of breath attacks early with these Chimeras. Obviously, not necessarily the easiest thing. Olaf did a good job of disrupting that advance. And, you know, despite the fact that he was playing a box, he wasn't necessarily playing passively. So he was able to kind of seize initiative in different pockets and kind of dictate how things went from that perspective. But yeah, for Michelka here, just like 1 or 2 breath attacks on these Chimeras, maybe a little bit more active micro with the Dreadmaw could definitely have swung things, and he had the tools he needed to win here, but just wasn't quite there. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like and subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again, see you next time.